Good afternoon and welcome to another studio sessions. David Hughes here, manager of the studio, talking to you again. And this week we are joined by Anne Mangan, who is a grant officer at the City of Greater Bendigo. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you for joining us. I do want to just take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands that we are virtually meeting on today, the Dja Dja Wurrung of the Kulin Nation, and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Thanks so much for joining us today, Anne. Really excited to hear a little bit about the grants program that the City of Greater Bendigo are running. I believe there has been a couple of changes over the last couple of years, so it would be good to get some clarity around that. We were really excited to work with the City of Greater Bendigo to ensure that our creative community have the best possible access to be able to get some of these grants opportunities. And I know there's a few people who have been eagerly anticipating hearing this session. So we won't take up too much. I won't rattle on for too much longer, apart from to say to those who have tuned in via Facebook, as always, we do encourage you to ask questions via the comments. And we will try to address as many of those questions as we can. We'll probably wait till the end when Anne has gone through her presentation, which I believe should take about 30 minutes. And then we'll try and run through some of those questions at the end. But I suppose without any further ado, what I'll do is I'll hand over to Anne. Over to you.
Thanks, Dave. I'll just put up the presentation. Okay. So thank you for having me here today. The topics that we'll be covering are the grants that the City of Greater Bendigo offers, eligibility and ineligibility, what's involved in applying for a grant, and how to submit an application using the grant online portal. So I'm trying to keep this very, very practical, this presentation. So at the end of it, you've got a how-to. So throughout the session, I'll be talking about successful grants the City has funded that are related to creative projects. And as Dave said, feel free to ask me questions at the end of the presentation. I'll be very happy to answer them. So there are 4 types of grants that the City of Greater Bendigo offers. There's community group essentials grants, small grants, medium grants, and large grants. So the way that these grants work is that they're appropriate for all sorts of projects, including creative arts projects. The essentials grants provide support for core community group governance and operating costs, i.e. essential costs. So you can apply at any time and they are open until the funds are exhausted, and the maximum grant amount is $3,000. So the application process consists of an online application and a budget. An example of a successful essential grants application was put in by a local band. This band was seeking funding for insurance and a music licence and fees. So what they were able to do was to show that the funding was essential, and they did this by providing evidence that without the funding, they would have to become insolvent and end. They also showed that the funding was essential by emphasising that they played predominantly to those who were isolated, such as older people in residential care facilities and retirement villages. The next grants are the small grants. So these grants provide support for small project costs. You can apply at any time and they're open until the funds are exhausted as well. The maximum grant amount is $3,000, and again, the application process is an online application and a budget. So an example of a small grant that we had was a project for a play, and the play looked at the acceptance of cultural diversity in the community. The funding was approved because it had a broad community reach. We felt that it was timely and relevant to the needs of the Bendigo community in terms of cultural inclusion, and one of the performances was during Cultural Diversity Week. The next grants are the medium grants. These grants provide support for projects up to $10,000. They're open in March, July and November, and we just recently had a round, so the next round will be November. The application process is an online application and a budget. So an example that we had of a successful medium grant was a theatre company that developed a program, and they provided a 5-day event for various groups in Bendigo to come together and develop projects for school performances major festivals, regional arts, Victoria tours and national tours. And this grant was funded, the application was funded, due to the group demonstrating that they promoted access inclusion through the diverse representation in their staff, casting and creative teams. And the group also demonstrated that the project supported exploration, the development of new skills and the sharing of knowledge. And they also demonstrated the benefits that the event would have for Bendigo. Large grants. So the large grants provide supports for large projects. They're an annual grant and an expression of interest has just closed for this round. The maximum grant amount is $25,000 and the application process includes an expression of interest form to be completed. Then applicants are shortlisted and invited to apply online via our web portal. So the next large grant will be next year, I think it's July. So an example of a large grant was an arts company that provided opportunities for people with disability to engage in the arts and present their work publicly. The group consisted of 2 performance groups, a visual art group and 2 community choirs, and a monthly art gallery group for people with dementia. So the project was successful because it demonstrated the benefits that the group gave to its members in terms of performance, learning theatre craft, technical and presenting skills, and they were interested in mental health promotion, and they gave people experience working collaboratively, and they were an outlet for social connectedness. So it also demonstrated how it benefited the broader community by educating the public about difference and the need for acceptance. So they're all the grants that we have. To be eligible for these grants, you need to be an incorporated not-for-profit community group, organisation or club, or auspiced by an incorporated entity if unincorporated, or a private profit-making organisation that wishes to facilitate a community event or project. It can't be an individual or an organisation with an overdue acquittal for a city grant, or an organisation with a city funding agreement that precludes receiving other funding. You're also not eligible if your application is not submitted on time. So this doesn't apply to the small and essential grants, just to the medium and the large grants. You're also not eligible if your application is seeking to fund a project retrospectively, i.e. you can't pay for an item and then ask for it to be reimbursed. It has to be something in the future. You're also not eligible if your application is seeking to fund a project that's largely occurring outside of Greater Bendigo, or your application is for fundraising activities, events or projects, or your application is seeking to fund a project that is from a federal or state government agency. However, schools are eligible to apply if the project is not part of their core curriculum. So if all of that was terribly confusing for you, don't worry too much. If you find that your project doesn't fit the guidelines or you're not sure whether it does, please don't just send in the application anyway. What you need to do is to call one of the grant officers. So there's 2 of us who do the job all the time, and you can contact us and explain your concerns and discuss what you want your project to achieve. So by taking the time to discuss it with us, we might be able to suggest changes you can make to help your project meet the guidelines. And if it isn't eligible, suggest other sources of funding. So just an example of this type of consultation we had was a mural project that was going to be in a public building in Bendigo. And the project, when first proposed, was an artist creating a mural. In collaboration with the artist, the project was tweaked to include the community more in its development, with the artist involving the local community in the mural content and design. So this helped the project to have more of a community feel and better align with the community plan. So remember, the grants team are here to help you. Applying for a grant. So the elements I'll be covering today are providing a brief summary of the project, telling us about your organisation, letting us know where and when the project will happen, why the project is important for the community, how the project aligns with the community plan 2017 to 2021, and what the project budget is. But these elements are all questions on the grant application forms and make up the information we really want to know about your project. So when telling us about your project, presume we know nothing about it. There is a word limit, but the more the assessor knows about the project, the better. So there is that tension there. So make sure to clearly tell the story of your project, explain where the project will happen, and any steps you might need to take to make sure the project is accessible and inclusive to its intended audience. Also, explain what you want to achieve, the goals and objectives. Tell us how much it will cost. Make sure not to underestimate. Tell us how the project is sustainable long term, and let us know how you will evaluate the project and what will be measured. When telling us about your organisation, again assume we know nothing about it. Word limits do exist, as I said, so make words used count. Tell us about your membership, who they are, how many members you have, their age groups and demographic information. Give us a brief description of your governance arrangements and who will manage or be involved in the project. Tell us about your achievements and sing your own praises. When telling us about where and when your project will happen, we want to know the timelines of the project, that the project will occur predominantly within the Greater Bendigo region, that you've considered the venue or location of your project and that it is inclusive for all people, such as people with a disability, young families with prams, older people, and non-English speaking background people. If appropriate, let us know how will you share or market your project with the community. So this question is an important one to answer. So the assessor or grant panel want to know why your project is important to the Greater Bendigo community. They want to know if there is a need for the project in the community, what is the need? They want to know how many people will the project benefit? Does the project appeal to a broad audience? What might happen if the project does not go ahead? And what will be the consequences for your project, for the community, or for your group if it doesn't go ahead? And where possible, provide evidence to strengthen your case. An example of the importance for the community was shown by an application we received from a jazz club. So the group was seeking seed funding for the establishment of a regular jazz club play listen event. And the jazz club were able to demonstrate how there was a gap in the Bendigo community for jazz musicians and those who enjoy listening to jazz. They also demonstrated how it would promote Bendigo as a music town and a place which fosters the creative arts. They also mentioned that they were open to young and diverse membership and were happy to mentor members, making the project even more important to the community. So this is another important question to answer, as one of the aims of the grants program is to develop projects that complement areas identified as priorities in the City of Greater Bendigo community plan. If you are aligning with a local plan, that's one of your local plans, this is equally important, so make sure that you mention it. What we want to know is, how does your project meet the visions and goals of the plan? Explain how or where within the plan your project aligns. And if aligning your project with the Greater Bendigo community plan, let us know how your project contributes to the council's vision of creating the world's most livable community. A link to the City of Greater Bendigo community plan can be found on the council's grant website. An example of this alignment to the community plan is when we funded a choir to assist them to move their singing online during the challenges of COVID. They were able to demonstrate the diversity of their group and the emphasis that they place on social inclusion and mental health. And they made it really clear that they were strongly aligned with the community plan goal of wellbeing and fairness. And you'll see that we've got there in that reddish box, the community plan objectives. So they're lead and govern for all, wellbeing and fairness, strengthening the economy, presentation and managing growth, environmental sustainability, and embracing our culture and heritage. So if you can align with just one of those or more than one, that's great. That's what we're after. When it comes to budgets, make sure your budget is balanced and be sure your budget shows a need for the grant. Also, where possible, provide evidence. So, for example, if you're purchasing a new computer, if you could present at least one or preferably several quotes. A link to the website where the item is advertised will also suffice. So providing evidence helps us to know that you didn't just pluck the figures out of thin air. And also sometimes the assessors won't know the costs of items, so it helps to let them know that your budget estimates are being realistic with what the price of things are nowadays. The Council's grant website provides a link to a budget template, and this can help to let you know the sort of information we're after, so don't be afraid to use it. So there's a link there. So submitting an application. First of all, you go to the web page address listed on this slide or Google Community Grants Bendigo. So on this page, you'll see links to the various grants that look like the blue one entitled Apply for a Community Essentials Grant. Click here. So what you do is you click on it and it takes you into the grant portal where you can then submit your grants. Once you've done that, this box appears. So you can either register your details if you've never applied for a grant with us or otherwise log in. So you can see there the register now or log in. And again, if you forget your password, if the forget password button isn't working, you can contact the grants team on that grants@bendigo.vic.gov.au. When registering, the system takes you into a registration form which looks like this. So you just fill in all your details in those boxes and you're asked a series of questions and again just answer them, and once completed you press the register button and then this screen comes up with your registration confirmation. And then you press on the next button. So once in the application form, you're asked a series of questions. So these are the questions that I went through before about the community, what the benefits of the community, aligning to the community plan, tell us about your project and organisation. So you fill in all those. I won't go through all those, but there's like 4 or 5 screens. And then you're asked to add your budget details in there. And so that's where you can put in the budgets, the basic budgets and the details of the budget there if you like. And then you go into attachments, and this is where you can attach that budget template, or you can attach quotes of items, flyers, photos, or any additional information that you haven't been able to fit in within the 100-word limit. And lastly, there is a declaration section. So if you run into any problems with the online application form, again, just feel free to contact a grant officer. Okay, so on the City of Greater Bendigo website, what you can access there is the application forms. You can access the Greater Bendigo Community Plan, the Greater Bendigo Health and Wellbeing Plan, and a budget template. Also, we've just added some grant tutorials, some online tutorials that you can watch. So these include applying for a community grant and successful grant applications. And a number of other tutorials are being developed and they'll be posted on the website as they're completed. Also on the website is the link to G. So G is an electronic newsletter for community groups and organisations, and it details the latest grant opportunities as well as upcoming events and some community resources. So it's a really, really good resource for what grants are out there. And then, as I said, any questions or problems with the online application or the process, just please contact the grants team. Remember, the grants team are here to help you. That's actually our job, is to help you get over the line with these grant applications and make sure you've got all the information you need and all the details to have as successful a grant as possible. And that's it. So are there any questions?
Great, thank you so much, Anne. That's fantastic. A lot of information in there. No, that's good.
Dense.
Yeah, but that's good, and it steps it through quite well. I think one of the important takeaways there is, because there is a lot of information, that grant officers are available to talk to about this, and people looking to put an application in are encouraged to get in touch with their idea, to talk it through, to make sure that they have the best success for actually being able to achieve a grant. Now, you put an email up there, grants@bendigo.vic.gov.au. I noticed there was also a phone number, 54346000. Is that currently?
That's correct. Yeah,
that's
so
still
that'll get
at the moment?
to myself and my colleague Glyn.
Okay.
And, we'll be able to talk to you, as I said, about anything to do with grants, an idea you've got, whatever it is, we're happy to help you. Yeah.
Great, fantastic. And that the GEE grants, events, etc. newsletter is also, sounds like a really valuable resource. So encourage people to sign up for that. And I see Jackie here in the feed has put that GEE is a great resource. So there you go.
Yeah, so it's g@bendigo.vic.gov.au.
And you'll get subscribed.
Yes, that's correct.
Fantastic. And how often does that newsletter come out?
Comes out about every month. Yeah. So it's or regularly, depending upon what's happening with the grants. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So it's updated all the time. Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. Now there was a question came through from Sil Moreno. Is it possible to apply for projects even if I'm on a bridging visa?
Sorry, even if you're on a
bridging visa.
Oh, I don't know. I'll need to look into that.
But I think it probably comes back to that point of I think you said you can't apply for an individual. Is that correct?
Yeah. So you can't be a person without some organisation backing you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were an individual, you could be auspiced.
That's correct. Yeah.
By an incorporated organisation. So you would just need to find somebody who has the relevant structure in place to be able to accept and pay out the money for that person. Yeah.
So you go to an organisation and you say, "This is a project that I'm doing. Would you be happy to be a backup, a support?" And then you go in that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I think the first step in that in answering that question is to find an organisation who's happy to auspice you. Okay. Now acquittal.
So acquittal is the evaluation part of the grant. So what we like is at the end of it, we ask people to just do a very basic evaluation of what they've done, just so that we can then report back on how the grant money's been spent and whether it's been useful or not. And so we just want to make sure that people have finished one evaluation before they're then going into another project. So it's just a bit of a safeguard for us. But again, we're happy to talk through that with you. If there's been a reason that the acquittal can't be finished, again, get in contact with us.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And so within that process, is there something that talks about, if you got a grant for 3,000, but you ended up in the end only spending 2,000 of that money? Is that there's a process there?
So again, you get in contact with the grant officer and you just let us know that you only spent 2,000 of the 3,000, and we'll talk through with you whether or not there was something that was linked to your original application that the money could be spent on. So we'd talk you through it and work it out. And then there'd be a formal process of changing the money around the grant funding. Yeah.
Sure, great. In terms of assessments, once an application has been put in, and the process, they've been in touch, they've talked it through, put in the application, how long does it generally take then for assessments to be made?
We like to aim for a couple of weeks, so it's 2 to 3 to 4, depending upon the size of the grant. So the small and the essential grants can be turned around a lot quicker because there's a smaller process involved in the assessment, and the medium and large have panels involved who make recommendations, these sorts of things. So they take a bit longer. Yeah.
Okay. Cam has a question. How many grants are awarded in a given year?
How many grants are awarded? That's a really good question. There's probably maybe 50. Thinking off the top of my head, that's a good question. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking of the grants that I've been involved in and looking at, and it's around about that figure, I think, if not more.
All of varying sizes.
Yes. Yeah.
What about the how much money is made available through this?
It's around. This is really hard. It's around. I'm trying to think, 100 and something thousand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Fantastic. And is that for all of them though?
Yes, that's for all of them. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic.
I'd have to get an exact figure and get back to you with the exact figure.
No, that's fine. That's great. I think you've answered the questions that have come through on the live stream, and I'll just quickly have a look through to make sure I haven't missed any of those. If people do have a question, very quickly put it in. And of course, I thought there were some great examples in there, by the way, of artistic and creative endeavours who have been successful in getting grants, and that's always really helpful to demonstrate the kind of thing that can be successful.
And they really are generic grants. So we've got, like I said, the small, medium, and large, and they're organised so that they cater to all sorts of projects. So I've got a real interest in accepting all sorts of projects as well. So don't be put off that it doesn't say creative arts grant or arts grant. Yeah,
it seems that the important thing is that it aligns to the community plan.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah,
which is obviously available.
Plan, be of benefit to the Bendigo community is another big one, and it's around that inclusion and just making Bendigo a livable, the world's most livable community, that sort of thing. It's very important aspects of the grant application.
And for my mind, at least, the arts and creative industries are essential in that vision of making Bendigo the world's most livable community. So absolutely encourage everyone who's watching today, if you have a great idea, to step one, I suppose, is to think, step one is to think it through and develop that idea a little bit. But then step two is to get in touch with Anne Mangan at the City of Greater Bendigo to talk that through, to make sure that your project, one, is eligible, but two, has the best chance for success before putting it in. Okay, well, we have put those contact details in our chats, and this video lives on through our Facebook page, on our videos page, so hopefully people can come back and pick up on bits if they did miss anything on it. But I suppose it just remains for me to thank you, Anne, and the City of Greater Bendigo for giving up your time to make that little presentation for us. And we hope to see a few more arts and creative industries applications.
Yes, please do. Yeah, we'd love them.
Come through.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Thank you. Bye.